Hello, hello. All right, I'm going to get set up here so I can see what questions are coming through. Thanks for everyone who's joining. I just want to make sure I can see what questions might be asked. One second, we're going to get the chat up and running. Alrighty, so it seems like the chat has now been enabled. So if anyone does have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. As a brief introduction, my name is Sydney. I work here at Kahoot on the customer success team. So I help schools and districts who do purchase our Kahoot EDU option to make the most out of all the features that Kahoot has to offer. So this time is really just for you to pop in and check to see. If you have any questions that you'd like to be answered by a member of the Kahoot team, that's what I'm here for. Hello, hello. Welcome to the Kahoot Ask Us Anything session. I'm a member of the Kahoot team. If you do have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat and I'm happy to answer. All right, so for anyone who might be joining, feel free to use the chat to ask questions. My name is Sydney. I'm a member of the Kahoot team based here in Austin, Texas, and I help out with our Kahoot EDU product, which is our solution for schools and districts. So I help train teachers on all of the features that Kahoot EDU has to offer, but I'm here and available to answer any questions that you might have about Kahoot. I know a lot of our lives are actually playing a Kahoot. We are not going to be playing a Kahoot today. It's really just an opportunity for you to ask a member of the Kahoot team any questions. So I do see a question about what my favorite Kahoot feature is, which it changes all the time. My current favorite Kahoot feature is our new version of team mode. So if you're a free Kahoot user all the way up to Kahoot EDU, you have access to our new version of team mode. This is a team mode on personal devices. So when students join the Kahoot, they each join on their own personal device, and then they join a team in the Kahoot Lobby, and they compete as a team throughout the Kahoot rather than as individuals. And so they answer every single question in that Kahoot, and their score averages towards a team score. So rather than students competing as an individual, they're actually competing as a team. And there's a team on top of that podium in first, second, third, fourth, fifth place. And then you also have access to the individual assessment of each student who took part in the Kahoot, because they were still answering every single question. In the report of the Kahoot after it's played, you can see how each student did specifically. So it still allows you to tap in and see and look into how individual students performed, but during the Kahoot itself, you've competed as a team. Keep sending in or asking questions. Just as a reminder again, my name's Sydney. I'm part of the Kahoot team based in Austin, Texas, even though Kahoot as a company is headquartered over in Oslo, Norway. There are a few of us here in the US to help support our educators over here. And I work specifically with our Kahoot EDU product, and that is our solution for schools and districts. It has all the features that Kahoot offers. So if your teachers are already using Kahoot, Kahoot EDU is just a great way to get better insight into how they're using it, how often they're using it, and then also give them access to our full toolkit. Another favorite Kahoot feature of mine is our duplication feature. So that is really helpful not only for customizing existing content from our Discover page, making it that much easier for you to bring Kahoot into your instruction, but also if you do ever get access to a Kahoot EDU account, you can duplicate Kahoots that are created by others in your school or district really easily. And so it allows you to customize that existing content and just to also, make little edits and really save you from doing work twice. And so that duplicate feature is available both in the Discover page with existing Kahoots created by other educators. You can also duplicate Kahoots that are shared in a group. So if you're in a group with other educators that you can duplicate Kahoots from a group, and then you can also duplicate Kahoots from within your library as well. So that's another one of my favorite features. And one of our newer features too, that's another one, is our slides. So Kahoot for a very, very long time has been so good at creating quiz games and gamifying learning content. But now we've added slides for you to be able to instruct and engage at the same time. So everyone, whether you're a free Kahoot user all the way up to EDU, you do have access to slides in some way. So I love slides. They create a moment for pause. They also just allow you to provide feedback or clarification and just be able to teach during that Kahoot. It's also a great time to pause, ask if any clarification needs to be needed or given. And then our slides also allow you to incorporate media. So if you are commonly using videos, and if you're using videos in your Kahoots, but you're placing them in a question itself, you can go ahead and just place that video on a slide instead. And that will allow all the focus to be on the video itself rather than having to watch a video and answer a Kahoot question at the same time, which can be a little bit difficult for a participant. So if you haven't checked out slides yet, I definitely recommend it. And again, they're really great for all the reasons that I mentioned, but I particularly love them for videos themselves. And then if you do get access to Kahoot EDU or even just one of our paid individual plans, you also get access to importing slides from existing presentations that you have. So you're able to take a PowerPoint or Google Slides and import them into our Kahoot Creator and design and create a whole interactive presentation. So another question that's popped up is, if I'm new to Kahoot, what would you say is the easiest way to make or create my first game? Yeah, if you're brand new to Kahoot, which you are able to sign up for free at any point. So if you don't have a Kahoot account yet, you can sign up on our website at kahoot.com. And once you do create an account, there's a couple different ways to get started in our Kahoot Creator. One of them is to go into our Discover page and find a Kahoot that aligns with something that you plan to instruct maybe in this upcoming school season. And you can go into our options and edit or duplicate that Kahoot. And that lands you in our Creator. So rather than creating completely from scratch, you can actually edit an existing Kahoot to get comfortable with our Creator. Or if you're ready, you can go ahead and find that create button, which is in the top right corner of your screen, and you can create a Kahoot. And you can go off of one of our templates, which is going to guide you through creating a Kahoot and prompting you with what questions to put and what answer options as well. And then once you're in there, if you are creating from scratch, I think the easiest way to get started is to actually create a selfie Kahoot. So create a Kahoot all about yourself. It's a great way to introduce yourself to your students, especially with the upcoming back to school season. Great way to introduce yourself to maybe the students' parents or guardians as well. And so there's no content that you know better than yourself. And so you can create a Kahoot completely about yourself, basically a quiz all about yourself. And then you can share that with your students either by hosting live or by assigning. So I would say easiest way to get started in the Creator is either to find an existing Kahoot and edit it or duplicate it, and then you're just editing existing content. Or if you want to start completely from scratch from the get-go, you can go ahead and create that selfie Kahoot all about yourself. That's something that we do here at Kahoot. Whenever a new employee joins Kahoot, they are expected to create a Kahoot about themselves and then host it across the company so that we all get to know each other through a Kahoot. And it also ensures that we all get into the platform itself and understand ourselves how to create a Kahoot. And after you have created a game, then we kind of start going into our ways to play. And I do see that someone said hi. Hi. Thanks so much for joining and being here. I see we have a few more people. So feel free to pop any questions that you have in the chat. Oh, wow. What a great question. So what are some short-term plans for Kahoot? Short-term, there's a lot of exciting things coming up. I think we recently have created 2 brand new question types. So we are continuing to add more options for you in the Creator. We also have a new Google add-on, so Google Classroom add-on that's available too. So if you just Google Classroom add-on, you can get more information into the many EdTech tools that Google has partnered with. And we are one of them. So it allows you to assign a Kahoot and actually even view the report of a Kahoot completely within Google Classroom, and it allows the student to complete the Kahoot completely within Google Classroom. So that's another really exciting one. One that we mentioned back at our EDU Summit in June is we will be releasing game modes. So an additional way to just gamify the content that you're working in Kahoot. And that will be free and available for everyone. So that's very exciting. That will be released probably in the next couple of weeks. Awesome. I see we just have a couple more joining and just introducing themselves in the chat. I'll introduce myself again since we have a few more people here. My name is Sydney. I'm a member of the Kahoot team based here in Austin, Texas, and I'm part of our customer success team. So, really just ensuring that our customers are successful in using Kahoot. And I do work primarily with teachers and educators and just making sure that they know how to use all of the features that Kahoot has to offer. So if you do have any questions, again, just feel free to pop them in the chat. That's what I'm doing here today, is just answering questions that you might have about Kahoot. Prior to some questions coming through, we were talking about, how to get into our Kahoot Creator. If you're brand new to Kahoot, whether that's customizing an existing Kahoot or creating a Kahoot about yourself. So once you actually have a Kahoot ready to go, there are two main ways to play. So one of them is live. That's our synchronous version of Kahoot, where you are actively hosting the Kahoot and students are all going through the Kahoot at the same pace. This is the more well-known or traditional way to play Kahoot. If you've ever heard screaming and Kahoot music down the hallway in your school, that's likely what's being played as our live version. Students do get very excited throughout the process, and they are very engaged in live Kahoots as they're all playing together, and you do have that opportunity to present the Kahoot as well. The other option that you have with Kahoot is to actually just assign a Kahoot. So that's our asynchronous option. So it allows you to create a link that students can then click on and access the Kahoot, and they can play it on their own time and at their own pace. So you might share the link with the students for them to complete in the classroom, but rather than you presenting the Kahoot, they're just simply going through it on their own time, at their own pace, and you're able to walk around and help students as needed. You can also assign a Kahoot as homework, so give them that link as an assignment for them to complete at home, maybe by the end of the week, and they are able to do that because they are just able to click that link and start and complete the assigned Kahoot. And with assigned Kahoots, it is all a single screen experience too, making it easy for students. They really only need one device in order to engage with a assigned Kahoot. Yeah, and there's a great question with how can you share Kahoot with my students? So that's kind of what we're talking about anyways. So again, there are two main ways to share Kahoots with students. One is hosting the Kahoot live, or it's also called Start in our platform. So if you're starting a live Kahoot, that is our synchronous version. Now, once you start a live Kahoot, you're going to be given a couple of settings that you can go through. And then you're also given the option to play in classic mode or team mode. Classic mode is where every student is competing individually. In team mode, there is an option for students to compete as a team where their scores actually average towards the team score. So once you decide whether or not you want to play classic or team mode, then you enter into our Kahoot Lobby. So our Kahoot Lobby is where students actually join the Kahoot. So in the lobby, there is our game pin, and students either have to go to www.kahoot.it, or they need to have access to our Kahoot app, which is available for Android and Apple devices. And through either www.kahoot.it or our Kahoot app, they can enter in the game pin, and then they'll enter in a nickname, or one can be generated for them if you find that setting. And then that's how they join the Kahoot. So that's how they join a live Kahoot. Now, with an assigned Kahoot, which is again that asynchronous option, all they need is that link to the Kahoot in order to play it. That's it. They just click on that link, and then they'll enter in a nickname, and then they'll go ahead and go through the Kahoot, again, on their own time and at their own pace. What's really great about assigned Kahoots as well is if you are hosting a live Kahoot in class, you can always assign that exact same Kahoot for students to be able to study from that. So if they do want to review the content that you've gone over earlier that day, then you can assign it and they can go through it at home again if they need to, or even use it as a study source. Another question. Yes, super great question. Is there a way it can show the question on the player's screen so they don't have to look up at the board? So this is in reference to our live version of Kahoot. And yes, actually, our live last week was all about our single screen experience. So whenever you go to host a live Kahoot, you're going to want to make sure to have a look at your settings. So your settings are available. I wish I could share my screen right now, but the settings are available in the top left corner of your screen. Whether you are still on that page of selecting classic versus team mode, or even when you've entered into the lobby, you can also even adjust this during the game itself. So in the top left corner, there's going to be a little slider, and that references to our settings. And that single screen setting is actually the very top one. It says show questions and answers on players' devices, and that will allow the players to see both the questions and the answer options on their device rather than needing to be able to see what's presented on the screen. Yes, and there's some resources being placed in the chat as well. Since I can't share my screen and I can't really show it, my lovely friend Hannah is helping out in the chat to provide some resources. But yes, that is a really amazing feature. That feature came directly out of teacher feedback, as teachers really felt it was necessary, and we thought it was necessary as well. And so that's been around for about a year and a half now, that feature. But no worries. If this is the first time you're hearing about it, that's fine. But yeah, that is available in the live version as long as you just open up your settings. And what's great about our settings is that once you turn that on, every time you go to host a Kahoot, that is going to now be on by default. So you don't have to remember to go into your settings every single time. Once you adjust them, then that's how it will be for the next time you host a Kahoot as well. These are really great questions. Thank you so much for popping in and hanging out with me. We do have just about 8 minutes left. So again, if you do have any questions about Kahoot, feel free to pop them in the chat. I know some resources are being placed there as well. And yes, so if you have not sure how you stumbled across this Kahoot Live with us, but we do have a whole back to school page, resource page that has so many great activities and ways for you to engage with us and also to win prizes. And you can also tune into future lives as well every single week. So every single week we are doing this. We're doing an Ask Us Anything, but then there's a feature focus on, I believe, Thursdays at 11 a.m. And so if you want to tune back into our Kahoot lives, those will be Kahoots more often than not. So you'll actually be able to play a Kahoot and learn a little bit more about these features that we've released. We've released a lot of features over the past 2 years, a lot, due to the pandemic. And so we want to make sure that you know all the features that we've released over the past couple of years. So be sure to, bookmark our back to school page. I'm sure it's being dropped in the chat as well, and keep that, available to you. So check on it every now and then. And go ahead and also just put a reminder maybe in your phone or on your calendar that we do those live streams on Thursdays. So last week it was single screen. Can't remember what it is for this week, but I'm sure Hannah's going to put it in the chat as well. Slides. Yes. So slides is going to be the live stream on Thursday. So if you're curious about Kahoot Slides, which is available for free all through our paid as well. So if you want to learn more about our slide features, that's what we're going to focus on Thursday, also in a YouTube live. And you can access these lives through our back to school page, or you can just access them through YouTube. But I would be curious if you are here. I would love to know in the chat how you did kind of find this live, whether that was through our back to school page or maybe you were just on YouTube. So if you want to put in this in the chat kind of how you found this live, that would be helpful to both myself and Hannah, as this is kind of a new thing that we're trying out. So we hope you find it helpful. All right, with just about 5 minutes left, periodically throughout this live, I've been talking about not only our Kahoot Creator and then our ways to play, but one of the most important features that Kahoot has is our reports. So every Kahoot that is played, whether that's a live Kahoot or an assigned Kahoot, a report gets generated. So if you have not started to look into the reports of Kahoots that you've hosted, there are a lot of great insights. Hey, Andrew, thanks for joining. There's a lot of great insights that you can access through our Kahoot reports. So in our Kahoot reports, you could, of course, get a overall accuracy reporting on the performance of the participants through the Kahoot. But one of my favorite features in reports is that if there are a few difficult questions or questions that students did not do so well with, right there on the summary page of your report, you're prompted to create a Kahoot out of those difficult questions. So if you host a Kahoot live and there's a couple of difficult questions that students struggled with, you could look at that report, create a Kahoot out of those difficult questions. Just with one click, you can create that Kahoot with those difficult questions. And then you can go ahead and create an assignment of that Kahoot for students to complete at home and review the content that they initially struggled with. It's also there to just inform you on what might need to be covered again in class. And so you can decide how to move forward with your instruction. Additionally, with our reports, it comes from both the player side and the question side. So you can actually look into each player to see how each player performed. And you can see how they answered and what they answered for every single question. And then you can also go into the questions themselves. And by clicking on each question, you can see how each student responded to that specific question. So whether you're looking in at the content itself or you're looking at individual students to check in to see how they're doing, you can do both of those things in our reports. And I do see a thank you for answering my question. You're very welcome. Thanks for asking a question. This is a session called Ask Us Anything. So feel free to ask me anything. And I do also appreciate my colleague Hannah, who's helping me out a lot here in this live, for also helping you all out in the chat as well. Yes. It is fun. So we're doing Ask Us Anythings on Mondays, and then we're doing feature focuses on Thursdays. So with the feature focuses, that is going to be an opportunity to play a Kahoot. So if you do want to play a Kahoot through YouTube Live, we will be doing that on Thursdays at 11 a.m. Whereas Mondays is this time for really just for you to ask a member of the Kahoot team any questions that you have. If you ever wanted to call Kahoot up on the phone, that's what I'm here for. And so feel free to ask your questions about Kahoot. And just to round up, Kahoot is a learning engagement platform. We really started out by just creating simple quizzes for teachers, for anyone to be able to create a simple quiz. But we've really grown so much more from there, especially in the past couple of years. So we're trying to make ourselves more available to you so that you can learn about all of these new features that we have released, especially as you prepare for the back to school season that is coming up. We're in the middle of it as well, really trying to support you all. And we do have a lot of great resources on our back to school page on our Kahoot website. So if you have not visited www.kahoot.com, you can get a lot of great information there and a lot of great resources for back to school. And then you can also create a free Kahoot account as well online at any time and engage with Kahoot. And Kahoot has a lot of existing content created by educators from all around the world that you can easily bring in and use in your instruction. But then you can also create your own Kahoots completely from scratch as well. So it has something for everyone. If you don't necessarily like to create new things, you don't have to. You can use what already exists within Kahoot. But if you do like to create, and I do encourage you all to create as well, as I mentioned earlier in the live, the best way to get started is to really create that selfie Kahoot. So creating a Kahoot all about yourself. And then that is a great way to share it with your friends, family, colleagues, of course, with your students as well, so that they can get to know you a little bit better in a very fun and engaging way. So we have come to the end of this live stream, and I don't think that any more questions have come through. So I want to thank you all again who did join in this YouTube live with me in this Ask Us Anything session. If you do have another question for us, feel free to tune in next week. I'll be back here again. But thank you again so much for joining, and thank you for asking your questions. I hope you enjoyed it. Awesome. Thank you so much. And hope you all have a great rest of your Monday, wherever you are in the world, and hope you have a great rest of your week as well. And hope to see you next time at another live stream. Bye.